Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Going through these Oscar nominated films, I'm very, very excited. This one, we are covering the best animated features. And as you can see, I am not alone. I got my man Chris right here with 3C Films. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Brandon, thank you for having me on. Excited to talk about some Pinocchio.
Yes, sir. And I just gotta say, I'm just not noticing your sweater. I like that, sir. I like that a
Oh,
lot.
thank you. I don't know if it's coming off funny on the camera.
No, you good, man. You good. Well, guys, if you love what we have to say, my social media handle is on the screen. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff, Chris's information is in the description box below, and he is also on my channel tab right there on the
Thank you for
far
that.
right. Oh, of course, man, of course. And let's help this man get to 600,000 subscribers. There's a reason why he has so much, because he makes great, great content. Also, just real quick, if you do want an audio only version of this, you can get it. There's a link to it in the description box below with buzzsprout.com. I am on all of these platforms right here: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. You see it on the screen, and also SoundCloud. And so, if you don't want to do the video on Twitch and YouTube and you want to do the audio only version, you have that available for you at your own leisure. And also, this will contain kind of slight spoilers. The film is out right now on Netflix if you haven't seen it, but most of you have, or maybe not. I don't know, but some people have. It's doing pretty well on Rotten Tomatoes right now. 97% from the critics and the 91% from the audience. And so I don't know. I think, Chris, that a lot of people are liking this film, and we're definitely going to talk about it. Chris doesn't know how I feel about it. He doesn't
I
know
don't know
how.
yet.
Yeah, he doesn't know how I feel. I don't know how he feels. There's like 6,257 different versions of Pinocchio.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen them all. I'm joking. I really haven't
I
seen them
was
all.
about to say.
That would be a hell of a lot. But no, let's get into this Oscar nominated film for best animated feature, with it being directed by Mr. Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah,
This
Guillermo
gentleman
del
right here.
Toro.
He is pretty popular. We got The Shape of Water, Crimson Peak, one of my favorite films, Blade 2. I love that. Also, Hellboy. Chris, what am I leaving out? I guess I can scroll down. I mean, this man is
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water, all that good stuff. I mean, everybody knows who Guillermo. I never can say his name. Guillermo.
Guillermo del Toro.
There,
Yeah.
there you go. I'm gonna point to Chris, and he can get the pronunciation for you. But hopefully, everybody knows what the story of Pinocchio is. If you don't, it's okay. But he's been around since, I think, the original story came out like 1890 or 1883.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. A
Long time.
father's wish magically brings a wooden boy to life in Italy, giving him a chance to care for the child. And Chris, have you seen the live action Pinocchio that was on Disney Plus that came out a number of months
Yes.
ago?
Yeah. Yeah. That one also came out. Yeah, I did not like it.
Okay, I figured, man, I didn't hear any good things about that. I didn't see
Mhm.
it.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I didn't miss anything.
Mhm.
When I found out that this was stop animation, I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a very difficult way to put together a film, to craft a film. It seems like it takes a hell of a lot of patience, some that I don't have. And so when I first heard that this Pinocchio was kind of going against the Disney one, kind of being released at the same time, my
Yeah.
interest peaked a little bit more for this one, just because what goes into making this film. And I will say my expectations were low. I mean, I remember the animated Disney Pinocchio film
I
vaguely.
like that one.
Yeah, I liked it too. They're turning into donkeys at the end. I
Yeah.
can't. It's been probably over 30 years since I've seen it, but I still have that implanted in the back of my head. I like that, and I will say that I like this one too a lot.
Good.
I don't know. I haven't. There's 5 films right now being nominated for best animated film. Pinocchio, as we're speaking, Marcel the Shell, Put Some Boots, The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. At the time of this recording, I have seen all of them except for The Sea Beast and Marcel the Shell. As soon as we're done with this, I'm going to watch that Shell
Okay.
movie. But I do like this, and I can see why it's getting a lot of attention, because it's a well-made film. And
Mhm.
Pinocchio, to me, is kind of a children's story, But with this adaptation from Del Toro, I don't even, I mean, I'm pretty sure kids will enjoy it, but I think a lot of adults will have a good time with this too. It's very dark at times.
I was expecting.
Yeah, you said as expected.
Not that I was expecting. I wasn't expecting it to go so dark at times.
Yeah, yeah, especially at the very beginning, which I'll get into more detail in just a moment, and kind of how this kind of mixed with another classic film. But you know, this isn't like the best animated feature I've ever seen, or you know, the best stop motion, but it is still damn good. It's still darn good, and I really enjoy it. And if you know, if I was to put a review on Rotten Tomatoes or anywhere else, it would be positive. I really cared about the characters in this. Geppetto was my favorite character in this film. There was a lot of passion and sorrow coming from his character, who is being voiced by Mr. David Bradley. But overall, I really did enjoy this. You know, I recommend it, and you know, I had a good time, a good decent time. But Chris, passing it to you, man. Like, what was your general impressions of this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in the middle? Do you think it deserves to be nominated for best animated feature? Just like how you feeling about this?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, especially since this came out after the Disney Pinocchio, and that one really burnt me when I was hoping that one was going to be good. So I was just kind of going in with low expectations, and I was pretty blown away. I ended up really liking this movie too. I'm glad you did too. I didn't know how you were going to feel about it, especially with some of those darker tones in there. I will say, like, I didn't love it like straight off the bat. It like, is it close to 3 hours long, or how long is it?
About
Is it
2 hours.
two?
2 hours.
Okay,
Right
2 hours.
under 2 hours.
I remember it took me to kind of like set my foot into this world. Like the opening was definitely very dark in what they do there, but like I didn't even love Pinocchio until like about halfway into the movie. This was a very interesting choice to go with Pinocchio. You know, he's loudmouth, he's not afraid to be snarky, rude, but then as the movie continues on and the way things unfold, I just found myself really getting heartbroken by this story.
Chris, I cannot agree more. I hated Pinocchio at the very beginning of this. He was so damn annoying. I mean, like I have a soft spot, you know, for naivete, or you know, someone that's just very gullible, and that you know,
Okay.
kind of sum up Pinocchio in this film. Shortly, if you want to, but man, as soon as he wakes up, you know, I'm a boy, and he's screaming. He's so destructive, kicking over tables,
Yeah.
breaking glass. I mean, he almost killed his puppet. He almost killed Geppetto with the axe
Yeah.
that came down and crushed him in the head. But I was very annoyed. I was very annoyed by the little Pinocchio character at the beginning. But like you said, he did grow on me. But some again, there's been 75 again different versions of Pinocchio, and so I haven't remotely come
Yeah.
remotely close to seeing them
Same.
all and know how they've changed things. I mean, I'm pretty sure each version is different. But this
Mhm.
one right here, I noticed that they went a little bit more into Geppetto's backstory, and that was
Yeah,
something
that was
that
nice.
I really didn't expect from his little son Carlo that died. You know, and that's
Yeah.
just crazy. Like this is set in like 1930 Italy, and again, I have a soft spot for people that are kind of like off the grid, minding their own business in the countryside, just want to live their life, you know, not bother anybody, but then they still go through heartache and pain. And Geppetto ain't did nothing to nobody. All he want to do is go to the town, go to church, you know, fix the Jesus Christ crucifixion sculpture and get along with the townspeople and enjoy life with this little boy. But it's just so horrible. And maybe they could have wrote
Yeah.
this a little bit better, that they're just chilling and the planes are coming home. And they was like, yeah, we you know, this little town, this little Italy town is not the target. And they just release bombs because they want to light a
Yeah.
load. It gets blown up. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is horrible. You know,
Yeah.
and so that is a bold decision right there. I don't know why they made that. And I would be distraught for years. But I mean, do you have any, you know, feelings about that or criticisms?
I'm not against like the darker tones they went with. I really applaud what Guillermo del Toro was trying to do there. I just wonder, you know, is like this is the reason it went straight to streaming, you know, because I can imagine if this got a theatrical release, you know, and people were wanting to see this and take their kids, there probably would have been a lot of angry parents or people walking out thinking this was just like, what? This is a kids movie, but you know, I'm one of the firm believers that animation doesn't have to be strictly for kids. You know, there
True,
is like adult themes thrown in there, and
true.
we you can either have, you know, like a sausage party where they go hard R, or they do like the PG thing, but it's like we
Right.
don't get middle of the ground animated movies where they're PG-13, where they cross some lines, but maybe it's still family friendly somewhere in there. So I like the darker tones. I was just kind of like thrown back. I was like, whoa, like there's even a whole storyline in there with like this kid and his father that gets really dark also. Where I was like, dang.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely going to get to that. And since you said it was in theaters, of course, it didn't make any money in theaters because it was on
Oh,
Netflix,
okay.
a whopping $108,000
Oh,
worldwide. I'm kidding, guys. I know it's going to be low because this was, primarily released on Netflix, and so,
yeah.
but actually, I think that I think they're releasing in theaters as well too. Oh yeah, now playing in theaters and on Netflix. So,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure it got majority of his viewing from Netflix.
Yeah.
But what I also like is I think it's a Disney movie from I don't remember when the original Disney Pokemon. Why was I going to say Pokemon? Pinocchio came out, but Geppetto was making Pinocchio out of love. But in
Yeah.
this, he went into like a drunken rage. He's
Yeah.
outside chopping down the tree. Also, I like the fact that, and excuse me if I didn't know this, guys, don't beat me up in the comments. Pinocchio, pine, I didn't know. Is that
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That was
yeah.
interesting. I was like, "Oh, is that where it
Yeah.
comes from? That's kind of cool."
Right. This is new to me. I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
if they made that up for this adaptation or if that's been the way it was from the beginning, from the original. I just didn't know because
Yeah.
I was a child, but I thought that was kind of cool. And they kept dropping that little gem there. Like the very beginning of the movie, it starts out with a pine cone and ends with a pine cone. And when the blue fairy lady, when she was bringing Pinocchio to life, I think this is being voiced by Tilda Swinton,
Okay.
who did a decent job, and that she kept just saying like little pine boy come to life. And the actor or the other cast member that you were speaking of with the relationship with his child, he kept bringing up pine wood as well. And so I just kind of thought that was a cool little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Oh, and my fault, this is not just being made by Guillermo del Toro. Let me give credit. This is Guillermo del Toro. Let me scroll up. And this gentleman right here, Mark
Oh, okay.
Gustafsson. I cannot say that. Mark Gustafsson. I'm trying to
Okay.
get it right, but I think this is his directorial debut. So it was co-directed. I just kind of had to throw that in there to give credit where credit is due. But yeah, I liked all that. The drunken rage thing was really interesting to me. Kind of also reminded me of Frankenstein. The way he was
Mm.
putting the Pinocchio, Pinocchio together, putting Pinocchio together. It's like a lightning storm, raining, and just nothing but chaos outside, and then the drunken rage. I already did. I liked all that. That was besides Pinocchio being a menace to society or a menace to his house. I really did enjoy the beginning of it. With him putting it together. And yeah, that Frankenstein element. Is that something that you picked up as well, or
Yeah, I mean, Guillermo del Toro is a big horror fan, so you can definitely pick up like the horror elements, like you mentioned earlier. Whenever he was brought to life, and it was almost like this monstrosity, and then the axe and all that. I really liked what he did there, but yeah, the Frankenstein nature of it and the adding new things, because like you said, I don't even know if that the pine thing is coming from the original source material, or that's something new they created here. And speaking on the fairy lady, the more stuff they get into there, that was kind of one of my favorite aspects of this movie, and something I'd never seen in any Pinocchio iteration before is um kind of like, I guess, I don't want to, his life cycle, I'll just say, is like that was just such an interesting part of the movie for me.
Yeah, it was. And apparently there's more than one spirit. This one seemed to be a little bit more nice than this one here. This one broke the rules. Apparently this was, I don't know, what is this, like a sphinx or something like that? I don't know what type of mystical beast this is, but it was fascinating. I did like it. It was kind of creepy. They had those little rabbit pallbearers, playing cards in the background. I don't know if you noticed all that, but I kind of thought all that was cool. I don't really remember any type of afterlife aspects from the Disney version or anything like that of Pinocchio coming back to life, 3-4 times. I thought that was kind of cool, actually. And one of the messages that I really did enjoy in this was just the value of life. and how important it is. Those Kodak moments that flash before our eyes. And I kind of like the lessons that Pinocchio was learning here. Like, hey, man, if you got some loved ones out there, you need to cherish them and cherish those moments because they may not always, be there. Just don't take it for granted because Pinocchio is a bit irresponsible. Just like, oh, I can die. I can come back to life and it really doesn't matter. And so I kind of thought that was kind of cool. But what other pros do you have, if any, for this film?
Aside from that and the changes in lore and all that, I mean, it was also I like Jiminy Cricket. It was Ewan McGregor, I think, did the voice right
Yes.
there. I
Yes.
loved that there and the way he told the story. Just kind of the saga he goes through, and the way we get to the end, especially like with the whale and whatnot. It was just so heartbreaking where everything went. Like, the movie didn't, like, have me tearing up or emotional,
Right.
but those last 5 minutes is like everything came together, piled up, and they just lay it on you, and that's something I couldn't even say for, like, the Disney one, and that has so much nostalgia and attachment from my childhood, and I was so disappointed with that ending. To then this one making me tear up and cry by the end, I thought was just, like, one of the biggest compliments I can give it.
I got you. I got you. Something you also brought up earlier was the relationship that the character's name is Podesta. He was the one that when Geppetto went to church
Mhm.
and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to church," and Pinocchio was in the closet. He's like, "I want to go to church too," and he left and went to the church. Hey, I'm a real boy, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's a demon! It's witchcraft and all that." Podesta, played by Ron Perlman, of course, we all know him, who's Hellboy and worked with Del Toro a ton of times. I like that. For some reason, I just like his character. Like, hey, I'm just here to make sure that this character, this wooden boy here, is not like a menace to society and he's not going to be dangerous to anybody or anything out there. I liked all that. I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. I also liked the villain of the film, Count Vulpa. It took me a while to get the voice. I was like, I know this voice, I know this actor. Who is it? And I couldn't guess. I had to look it up, but of course, we're talking about Christoph Waltz here. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I also love the design of his character. Let me try to find an image real quick. But they kind of depicted him as the devil with his
Mhm.
that's not him, that's Geppetto. I'll try to find one here in a second. But they try to depict him as the devil. Yeah, you can see him on the
Yeah.
far left, with his hair. And also, of course, we all know Pinocchio. When he lines, his nose grows. And if you look at Count Volpo's nose, it is long too. And so I kind of
Mm,
thought that was a
nice.
visual representation of that. He's a liar. You can't trust him. He's no good. He's a scoundrel. All that. How did you feel about Christoph Waltz and Mr. Count Volpo?
No, I liked him too. He was definitely a menacing one, and the things he would do to his little pet monkey, and the way they would even turn that around on it. And it's funny that you call him like the main character, because like there were so many progressions and adventures in the story that like I didn't really even pick him as like the main one. It's just
Mm.
different people that get in Pinocchio's way. But I mean, saying it like that, yeah, it was definitely one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing, I got my notes written down right here. I did love the adventure aspect on this. I mean, he's discovering life in the beginning, trying to connect with his father, stepfather. Is recruited to go to the circus or the carnival. Then he's recruited to go to war, and then he's fighting for his life in the belly of a whale. Dies a few times, comes back to life. I mean, for a wooden puppet, I mean, this Pinocchio character really did get a good experience on life in such a short amount of time. And I kind of was just thinking like, that's like saying that life is short. It'll just fly by, in a flash. And so,
Hmm.
you only live once. You gotta get in where you can, get in where you fit in, and enjoy the most of it. And so that's just something else that I got from this. Is there any other positives that you liked about this that we haven't talked about?
I think a lot of what we covered is exactly how I feel on it. Yeah.
Right on. What about any criticisms about the film? Off the top of my head, I really don't have any criticisms
Not any
other
huge
than
ones.
you say you have some huge ones?
No, not any huge ones either. No, just like I thought the pacing maybe at times, like the length, I felt like it did take some dips. Like the first act, it took a while to get into, even with that heartbreaking intro. But like that stuff is just like real minor to me.
I got you. I got you. But yeah, man. I like Geppetto was real funny to me again. He was my favorite character in this whole thing because he was just funny. I like the design in his beard and how that was very detailed. The animation was great. I thought it was very fluid. So that was top notch. And just the line when he was scared of Pinocchio at the very beginning, he was like, "You're not my son. What is wrong with you?" I don't know why, but it was just funny to me to see a grown man or older man just yell at a wooden puppet like that, like it's
Yeah.
just so real. That helped bring Pinocchio to life to me. And so, like Chris, man, I really don't have any criticisms, for this movie. I again, this is not. I'm not saying that this is the best animated feature I've seen, and I'm not just blown away by like, oh my god, you gotta see Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. But I'm not trying to throw shade either. I mean, I still had a good time with this, and I think you will too if you haven't seen it out there. So let us know in the comment section. Also, Chris, have you seen any of the other animated nominated
With the ones
films?
you listed, the only one I haven't seen also is Marcel the Shell. I hear great things about it. If I had to take my guess right now on who would take it, I mean, yeah, I think the one that's definitely not gonna take it is the Sea Beast. As much as I like that movie, it really is just like almost like a repeat of How to Train Your Dragon, just with like sea monsters, which isn't
Okay.
a bad thing, but it just gives it that been there, kind of done that feel. I want it to be Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I don't think it will be. That's the one personally I ended up loving so much out of all these.
Mm-hmm.
Until I see Marcel the Shell, I actually do think Pinocchio would probably be the one the critics and the house
Yeah.
might vote for the most, especially taking into the work that stop motion takes. That's like a huge factor, I think, in it.
Yes, 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 yes. I agree. I'm not saying that I want Pinocchio to win. I really don't care. Um, but I think it will win. I just have a
Yeah.
feeling that's where people are going to lean. I enjoyed Turning Red. I
Yeah, I
did.
liked it too.
I
I
Yeah.
don't think it's Oscar.
Right, right, right. Also, before we head out of here, man, how do you feel? I want to ask you, how do you feel about the best animated feature category? Like, do you think they should abolish it? And because to
Mm,
be honest, what I'm saying is, do you think animated film should be considered for best picture as well? Because there's no reason why
yeah.
an animated film can't be good to be a best picture. Like Toy Story, when the Toy Story movies came out, those were some of the best movies of the year, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I don't know. And two, there's not that many animated films that come out every year anyway, and
That's
so
true.
it's kind of like a participation trophy in a way.
Sometimes it definitely is. Yeah, I think there's previous years where certain movies got on that list where it felt like they just needed to fill out the roster. Like,
Right,
I don't know,
right.
the like Wimpy Kid eventually was on there, and I was like, what? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Some animated movies in there, I'm like, there's no way these deserve to be on the list. So
Right,
in that
right.
regard, yes, I do think like animated films should just be eligible for the best picture in general. And other times I'm like, I don't mind them getting their own category because it does put a spotlight on a bunch of other
That's
movies
true.
like that. This year was stacked, so a lot of those films are going to get recognition when maybe only like one or two of those might have been in the best picture category.
I got you. Okay, well, if I had to rate this film out of a 1 out of 10, it's while I really don't have any criticism, I wasn't like blown away. At the very least, I'll give it like a 8.5 out of 10,
That's
maybe a
exactly where I'm
9.
at. Yeah,
But yeah, that's yeah.
8.5 is mine.
Gotcha, gotcha. Cool, cool. Well, there you go, guys. That is our review for the Oscar-nominated film for Pinocchio. Excuse me, Guillermo del
The
Toro's
Toros
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
We don't want to get it confused with
Not
the
that
other
Disney one.
versions or the Disney Plus. Again, it is on Netflix right now, and so check it out if you haven't seen it. And let us know in the comment section where you at on this film, whether you liked it, you hated it, you somewhere in the middle. If there are some important, plot details that we left out that you want to talk about, we can chop it up in the comment section. Also, guys, I'm not able to review every Oscar nominated film. There's like 20 or 30, but um, I'm gonna have maybe about 15 to 18 films for you guys. And so check them out. There's links to that in the description, in the pinned comments. I've been having fun with so many great creators on YouTube and just other platforms on the interwebs talking about these films. And so check down below and enjoy yourself. Engage with me in the comment section. At the time that you're going to be seeing this, my Scream 6 review will be out, so check that out. Also, Chris will have his screen review up as well. Check that out. We both will have our reviews for Creed that's been up. If you've seen Cocaine Bear, check that out. Also, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania spoilers review part 1. Check that out with myself, Eman, with Eman's movie reviews, and also Elliot with movie files. Check all that out for that Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania part 1 spoilers review. And also, I did a spoilers review with Chris as well with 3C Films. And so if you love what Chris had to say for that film, for this film, you can check us out. We talked about that film as well and had a good old time. And here's a thumbnail for it right here. But guys, go ahead.
Oh no, nothing. I was just laughing at my face.
oh, it's all good. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's Chris, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and
Bye,
we'll
guys.
see you next time.